And he turns to me and full seriousness goes, "Oh, you're growing out your armpit hair?" No, I just haven't shaved in 3 days.
We're here today with Alexa.
Hello.
Yes. So, yeah, as you can see, our set's a little bit different because we have our special guest on today to talk about body dysmorphia with us.
Yes.
She is creative. She's a sim star, an aspiring interior designer, the ultimate barista, Jubes' celebrity hall pass. She's subjectively way cooler than us. The queen of chaos, Miss Alexa Narang.
Hello. I think that's the best someone's ever described me, but also just like boost my ego a little bit more, you know?
Oh, we love it. Yeah, no, so we know Alexa through work.
Yep.
Specifically Gavin.
Yeah.
But we have since replaced Gavin with Alexa, so it's good.
Yeah, it's the most stressful thing in the world, being a replacement for someone. Especially somebody that you know well.
Yeah.
It's like a friend.
Yeah, makes it kind of awkward, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I appreciate it because Gavin's one of the people who I think is the coolest. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I get to fill that spot now in people's lives.
Oh, good. Good.
Amazing.
I guess, did I miss anything in my intros or anything else you want to... anything to say to introduce yourself?
No, I think you got it. Queen of Chaos is pretty accurate. I don't think these two have ever seen me at work not making a mess of everything or destroying something.
Yeah. Or describing a mess.
Yeah.
Like, you're never going to guess what happened to me yesterday.
You're gonna be like, my life is just constantly just going like this. Every time I see them, I'm like, oh, I guess what happened? And they're like, how are you still here being okay?
Yeah. Why are you functioning?
Yeah.
How are your kidneys like near failure and you're still breathing?
How are your emotions like? Just how are you smiling?
Yeah.
How are you at work talking to customers? Like,
Actually. And if our audio is a little funky, Michaela and I are sharing a microphone because we don't have a third mic, so hopefully that's okay.
but you can hear me clearly, and that's all that's important, really.
Exactly.
Our special guest for a reason.
Exactly.
Yeah, so body dysmorphia, we will start with a quick little trigger warning because we will be bringing up eating disorders and everything that's related to poor mental health and body dysmorphia as a whole.
Yep.
So if any of those trigger you, maybe this isn't the episode for you, or proceed with caution.
Yeah, we will not be offended if you skip.
Yeah.
Alexa might, but we won't.
Our first guest star, like, sets the tone.
Yeah,
Just
you
don't
can skip
listen.
this one if you want to.
Skip our guest episodes, it's fine.
Oh my goodness. So basically, what is body dysmorphia? It is actually a disorder in the DSM, body dysmorphic disorder. It's basically a condition where a person spends a lot of time like worrying about their flaws in appearance. The minute it goes to physical appearance, it is then classified as an eating disorder. So therefore, body dysmorphia and eating disorders go very like hand in hand. You can have both. One can kind of feed into the other. I'm not going to say cause because there are all sorts of causes for them. As far as like the biggest ones are trauma, bullying, and whatnot. But then there are certain genetic factors that can influence for both.
Yeah.
Or just the classic with all mental health, the chemical imbalance in the brain, your neurotransmitters being all fun and funky with you. It does also come off of OCD and generalized anxiety disorder, and then eating disorders, body dysmorphia, all that comes hand in hand.
Lovely.
That is my Psych 101 in 1.5 minutes.
Okay, so when you said when it becomes physical appearance, it becomes an eating disorder,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Like it manifests physically, or
body weight issues. So
okay.
Yeah, not just how you look, like how you look starts making you change how you eat and how you interact with food.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of like weight management. It then goes into all the eating disorders such as anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, restrictive binge eating, and then there are some new concepts out there around athletic anorexia and orthorexia nervosa. Athletic is very straightforward by the description there. It's athletes restricting for athletic performance and or wanting to be cut and lean and only have 5% body fat and all this fun stuff. Orthorexia is a new term, not in the DSM, and it's more so about restricting anything that is deemed unhealthy. So in food. So it's coming up in a lot of vegans now that you're seeing this come up. Not vegans specifically, but just like as a whole, like people who go into that diet because they think it is the epitome of health and there's nothing bad with it, and therefore they're only going to do that.
Right.
Where they may be neglecting other aspects that are making them unhealthy as well.
I think one that's really good to point out, and this is only because I watched it happen with like my family, is going keto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because then you have to be so specific with what you eat because you're trying to get your body into ketosis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'd say the fear of not eating like certain foods or like healthy foods especially really comes in.
Yeah.
So you're trying to get your body to a state where it's using fat for fuel instead of using sugars for fuel
and
or your muscles.
Then restricts you of eating sweet potato and instead slathering bacon and mayonnaise. And not everyone specifically, but you know what I mean? It's just like a...
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of that is around diets that are considered healthy, but then otherwise have other complications.
I think it's also very important to say that like there's healthy ways to do these things.
Yeah.
But if your mental health is not in order, it is very difficult to do anything when it comes to dieting, working out, and trying to keep yourself like healthy in a healthy way. That's when that comes in. Like if you have a solid mental health, you can have any kind of diet you want, and for the most part, it'll probably be good. But if you have a really poor self-image and you think of yourself horribly, or you have really bad depression or anxiety, that's when going into diets and stuff like that can become kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why you see it so quickly snowball into a disordered eating, right? Like, especially, it is very common amongst females, and it has been very common for many years, but we are seeing it now in males as well. Or we are hearing about it more in males
aware
now.
of it,
Yeah.
It might have been around, but it wasn't expressed as much before. But with females, I find, especially in junior high in North America,
or just the early 2000s as a whole,
there was a lot of, I'm not going to say anorexia because what is it a diagnosis, but a lot of restrictive eating that would come with that in order to be skinny. It has then now switched a little bit more to the whole, like, you got to have the hourglass, like, Kardashian figure.
Even they don't want it anymore, so.
Exactly.
You just can't win.
Exactly. But you do see a lot of that, or my personal experience, I've seen a lot of that come up in junior high school specifically.
Yeah, definitely.
Where mental health is wild.
Well, that's when you're the most vulnerable and you're being affected the most by what you're seeing. And so when we were in junior high, it was super skinny Victoria's Secret models and just like unattainable body goals. So you're like starving yourself to try and get that, but it's like damaging you rather severely.
And like not even just like with middle school and high school, but, and I hate to say this because I sound like my parents, but social media is probably the biggest perpetrator of all the amount and the epidemic of eating disorders that we are seeing. Because in the early 2000s, like I said, it was the low-rise jeans that was making everybody wanting to be super, super skinny and have the flattest stomach possible. But now you're going on to like TikTok, Instagram, and you're seeing these models just living their daily lives, and you're like, man, why can't I be blessed with those jeans? Like, how do I look like that? And for a lot of people who don't have an understanding of how nutrition works, how diet and exercise works, myself included, the easiest option to us is, I just won't eat. But that destroys your body. Like
100%.
Yep. So we have brought on Alexa for a reason. So we want to talk about like, what was your experience with body dysmorphia, and then how has it brought you to who you are now?
Well, there's two, when I was thinking about this, there's two really important moments. And it's the first time I ever got called fat and when my anxiety was really bad. Mm-hmm. So the first time I ever got called fat was right after I think I was in 2nd grade. And it was this boy that I had a really big crush on. And so I got this new, shirt. And now when I look at pictures, I'm like, yeah, that was not flattering. It was like a baby doll, but I'm in 2nd grade, so it's going to make you look like a box. Yeah. And he was like, you look really fat today. Oh. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll just go burn this shirt. But especially when you're at a really young age and someone calls you fat, that sticks with you. And when you are that age, just when your personality is forming, that's when everything that's going to be you in the future, you start seeing those points show up.
Tune into core memories of self-awareness episode.
And then probably it was in my first long-term relationship, and he had a really, really rough time with bulimia. And so that was the first time I was around an eating disorder and having to support someone getting better with an eating disorder.
So he had bulimia.
Yes, he had bulimia. Yeah. And nobody knew about it except for me, because we were really good friends throughout middle school and stuff like that. And then when we started dating, I started realizing all these things. Mm-hmm. But since he was always throwing food up, I started getting this really warped idea of eating.
Okay.
Because I didn't think I was fat. Even now, I look at myself and sometimes I'll be like, oh, I hate how I look. But I don't think I'm fat. I don't think being fat is a bad thing either. I just don't like how I look. Mm-hmm. And so with him being I don't like how I look, so I'm going to throw everything up, I was like, I don't have a gag reflex, can't do that. So what's my second option? Not eating. So then that's when and also when you have really bad anxiety, it's really difficult for you to eat. Mm-hmm. And having depression and stuff like that. And that's when all that was at its peak. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't eating to begin with, but then having somebody in your life who's like, don't touch food because it'll make you look bad. I was like, okay, well, here we are. And then that kind of snowballed into, because that summer, I started working with my dad in construction. Mm-hmm. So then wasn't eating. I was being really physically active. So I was the best, well, not best shape, but the best my body in my head has ever looked. Yeah. Was that summer.
Well, you're just toned because you're outside sweating and lifting stuff.
And that's, my parents also eat really healthy. So when my stepmom would pack us lunches, I'll be like, oh, this is healthy stuff. I can eat it. It's fine. Mm-hmm. And then when school started and I wasn't being around my parents and they weren't watching me because I was working in a coffee shop all the time. I was going to school and nobody was around me to monitor my eating habits. Mm-hmm. I just stopped eating altogether. Mm. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it was really good, really healthy, fun time. I don't regret it at all. I'm not made fun of for being weak at work ever.
Oh my gosh.
It is true.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh
well.
But hey, that's what started this conversation, and that's why I'm here today. So
exactly. Yeah. What other did you notice that when you stopped eating? Did you notice that any other mental health things escalated or got better or?
I think it kind of just stayed stagnant because, as we've already established, my life is a shit show.
Chaos.
My life is never 100% okay. I've never had a chill moment since the moment I was born.
And girl came out swinging.
Yeah. And so with that, I can't say that the eating was what affected my mental health. I think it's just me existing in the world and everything being thrown at me 24/7.
Yeah,
fair enough.
And so my mental health kind of always comes in waves. Mm-hmm. But for sure as I learned this when I was in the psych ward. The stepping stones of mental health is the first thing you need to get under control is your eating and your sleeping. Mm-hmm. Then you focus on therapy. And if neither of those two things are still working, then you look at medication.
Yeah.
And so I've been to the sleep doctor, I've been to a nutritionist, I've tried all these things and my mental health is still crap. So maybe those stepping stones aren't 100% true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think, again, as someone who is studying it, that is
those are
generally
really
what
important.
The baseline is. Because it's if it's not your diet, then it's something else. And if it's not something else, then it is actually a chemical imbalance.
Yeah.
And you do need something to support that.
Yeah. And the best my mental health has been is when because I got diagnosed with ADHD a year ago, I think. Mm-hmm. And I started taking medication for it. And this is the best my mental health has been forever. I mean, it's still not great, but it's all I can survive.
Yeah. Well, it's not surprising that it took them so long to diagnose you with ADHD because there is no female symptoms in the DSM. It's all around males.
And white males. This is where I'm going to transition into culture. I'm not white. I know I look it, but so especially when you are cultured, and this is a huge thing in nutrition, the BMI index was based on white men. Mm-hmm. So women were screwed. Mm-hmm. If you are any other color than white, you're screwed.
BMI is also a load of crap. I have beef with the BMI.
No, I have so many friends who technically are not the weight that is healthy for them. You couldn't tell if you looked at them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the weight I'm supposed to be. You can't tell when you look at me.
No. According to BMI, I am obese. And I have been obese since high school.
Yeah.
Where I was 40 pounds lighter.
Yeah. And
so.
Yeah. And technically, when I was again, back in the 2nd grade, I was technically obese as well. But then I shot up like a frickin' weed, and all of a sudden I'm skinny, so I don't really think you can just look at somebody's weight and be like, yeah, something's wrong here, because you live a lot more healthy than I do.
Well, yeah, I'm working out 5 days a week, and I still step on the scale, and I did this today, which messed with my head a little bit. I am back to 230 pounds now, and I'm like, well, shit. What am I doing? Nothing's changed. I'm at the same point now where I was last year. I had then dropped down. I was in the 220s and stuff. And now I'm back here again. I'm like, well, it kind of sent me for a little bit of a spiral this morning. Then I got my period. And I'm like,
it all made sense.
And I'm like, so there is a lot of hormones that come into play when you are especially scanning your weight, if you're stepping on the scale, right? That we neglect. And especially as a teenager too, right? You're fluctuating hormones like crazy, and then you're putting on body weight and you're losing it just as fast. And yeah, now into my 20s and stuff too, I'm still fighting to get this weight off from when I was actually unhealthy and my thyroid was failing and whatnot. But I feel physically stronger. I do have a significant more muscle mass and stuff. Yeah. So I know that a lot of this weight is more muscle than it was fat, and that is the difference from last year. Mm-hmm. But again, according to BMI, I am no different. I haven't improved at all.
And that's another thing too, is before I lost a bunch of weight, I was so active. Mm-hmm. I was playing volleyball, I was doing gymnastics, I wasn't great at either of them, but I was doing them. Yeah. And so I was so physically active, but I was 20, 30 pounds heavier than I am now. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of that has to come with the fact that I am now not 16, and so my body's hormones have kind of leveled out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's weird to think that then, when I was fat, especially growing up in a small town in Alberta, it's all skinny white girls. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was basing my self-image off of. And it's weird that I was so much more healthy then. I was eating, sleeping, kind of working out more, but now I feel I look better in my body, but I feel so weak all the time. Mm-hmm. My body is drained, but I get so many more compliments on how I look now. And I'm that's really messed up.
Which just adds to the toxic cycle in that front too, right? It's the same reason why it just adds to talking about toxic cycles. Going off the rails a little bit here, but the younger you look, the more compliments you get too.
Or when people wear their hair in braids or pigtails and they get more tips.
Yeah. Because it's the whole child image aspect thing, which is so twisted in that sense too. I got more compliments at 14 than I do now. Mm-hmm. Now apparently I'm just scary, which I'll take. But at 14, I was getting hit on at the airport when I was alone by people who were in their mid-20s.
Yeah. Well, it's even because I cut my hair all off, and then it was too short for me to fit into a ponytail for work. Our tips, when I was wearing pigtails to work every day, I have not reached that point since. Because now I go back to wearing it in a ponytail, and my tips aren't as good.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my, that's terrible.
Yeah, I know. And it's insane, because my hair was I've been considering, I'm kind of down bad for money, and it might be time to bring back the pigtails.
I'm wearing pigtails to work.
It's twisted. Again, even part of the whole, being skinny, then you don't have curves, you look more like a child, which is more attractive in a weird, twisted form.
Yeah.
Well, that's just something that with my body dysmorphia specifically, because again, like I said, I'm not white. I'm very hairy. Mm-hmm. My entire body's covered in hair, my arms, everything. And that was a huge issue, especially when I was in middle school and high school was like, oh, I hate my body hair. Like, I hate how it makes me look. And then I realized I hate that it makes me look like a grown up.
Yeah.
It's not that I hate my body hair. It's that I don't look smooth like a child. Because
Yeah, why is that?
I hate to say it, but pedophilia is really drilled into our brains.
Yeah.
And it is a huge aspect of what men find attractive is that young and innocence and sweetness. And so when you hear that your entire life and you're growing up and you're getting older and your body's changing, all of a sudden you're going to be like, well, now I'm not attractive. So.
Now I gotta do things to make myself look younger and thinner and more petite.
Yeah.
So like I've never been petite. I do not have that.
Oh, I am
gene.
tall and loud. I have nothing about me has ever been small. But that's a huge thing about being a woman is making yourself smaller, whether it's your weight, your voice, your height. And so it makes a lot of sense that a lot of women, especially when they're younger, have body dysmorphia
Yeah.
and hate the way that they look, hate the way that they look or act and how they are as a person because we are not small enough in any aspect.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any bullying that contributed to your body dysmorphia?
Kind of.
Okay.
Like in middle school, there's this group of girls and they were like the popular girls.
Yeah.
And I was friends with most of them, but like the ringleader hated me. And I think she hated me because, especially in middle school, I was pretty confident outwardly about, and still now, like most people when I'm like, yeah, I have a lot of self-confidence issues, they're like, what? Then I'm screwed. But I carried myself with a lot of confidence and I am very articulated in how I speak, especially then. So she hated that. And I now know, like, because we've talked about it as we've gotten older, like she was going through a lot and had a lot of issues and took that out on me, somebody who she saw as more confident. And I think that was the first time in my life where I ever wanted to not look how I look. And that's when I stopped, I wouldn't say being myself because I still was outgoing and like chaotic and crazy, but I stopped putting myself out there as much.
And dimming your light a bit.
Yeah, and that's when I started getting into the body dysmorphia and having confidence issues. Yeah, they were so mean. Middle school girls are the worst.
Yeah.
There's nothing like them. Like
They like pick at your insecurities and you're just like, okay, thank you so much. I didn't know that was something I didn't like, but now I do.
thanks for bringing that one up.
Literally.
I didn't ever have anyone outwardly bully me for my appearance. I just kept wanting to make myself smaller because I was surrounded by people who were all 5'1". And they would talk about how fat they feel because they're 125 pounds. And I'm like, I'm 180 and I can't ever be 125 pounds without being hospitalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Respectfully. Like,
Yeah.
I'm 5'10", 5'11". I'm currently 230. My skinniest I ever was 180. And I looked like a model at that point. And BMI still says I need to be 160. And so now that I'm working out, there's no way I'm going to have solid muscle mass and be 160.
Yeah,
I don't see it happening.
No.
I'm almost 160. There's no way.
So yeah, so my healthy weight is you.
That's ridiculous. That would be so unhealthy for you.
I'm trying to like imagine you like that. And I'd be like, no, I would
concerning.
If you came into work 160 pounds, I would be like, go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're not working. You're gonna faint. Yeah.
So that's just the whole like so outside of there was no direct bullying. It was just a lot of media for me because it is like I as much as I love social media, there is a lot. It's a big contributor in the mental health crisis and whatnot for various reasons. But again, as you said, you're just trying to be like every other small town person who's between 5'1", 5'5", and then
Blonde hair, blue eyes, super thin. Yep.
Yeah.
And here I am, like this little brown girl. Especially like if you're not from Alberta, like in anywhere that isn't Calgary or Edmonton, there's no culture.
None at all. Absolutely zero.
And like the culture that there is, like we had they stick in their groups. Because we had like the Filipino girls and then like the 2 black kids in the school.
yeah.
And
that's more than I had.
and like especially like growing up around white people and then being mixed, it's weird because you don't get to experience your culture. And then I moved to, and my 2 people who I've been closest with since I moved here are brown. They're Indian, or one was Pakistani, one's Indian. And that made my identity crisis even worse, because I was like, man, now I feel even more out of touch with my culture. Because when I'm living with a bunch of white people, you don't feel out of touch. Yeah. You feel like you're not. I've never felt like being mixed was okay, and that also contributed to the body dysmorphia, because I'm like, my features aren't all white, but my features aren't all brown. My skin isn't all white, but it's also not brown. So I've never been white or brown enough. And that, and then like, also like coming to terms, this was another thing, but coming to terms with like your sexuality, coming to terms with the fact that you're mixed, and then also having like living in rural Alberta where racism and homophobia is rampant everywhere. You are not allowed to feel okay with yourself ever. Yeah. So that was my experience before I moved here. And then I moved here and I was like, oh my gosh, there's culture. Yeah.
I could see that. Again, as someone who is painfully white. A different theme for me. Like I've always been white. I haven't not fit in with my family, but for me a lot of it was like I don't look like my friends. Yeah. Or I don't act like my friends. Yeah. And love my friends, and there's nothing that they can do to change it either, right? I'm just not 5'1", blonde hair, blue eye, 120 pounds. This never will be me. No. Yeah. Right?
Well, it's like me too, because like if you look at like brown girls, most of us are built like, we're like curvy, yes, but we're also we're bigger. Because that's, I mean, when have you ever met a brown family that doesn't have a million kids? Like I have so many cousins, and all my cousins have so many cousins, so we're built to give birth. And that's even like with like Finnish culture too. Like you're built to give birth. Like
I'm built to withstand a winter and kill a seal and carry it on my back to
my other side is Ukrainian, so I'm also built. It's like give birth, don't die in the cold. And I don't want to give birth, and it's global warming is going to make the cold go away. So I don't. My genetics are just not important anymore. But it's really hard for people to understand like hating yourself. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Especially if you've never gone through it, and everyone hates it differently. So it's a very personal, subjective experience, right? That you go through.
I think something else too to mention is like to talk about the difference between having self-confidence issues and then having body dysmorphia, because, and this is something that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. I have not gained that much weight since I stopped actively participating in an eating disorder. Because like obviously I still have like disordered habits, and that's going to take years for me to get over, because for so long my body was used to not eating. And so now I have a really hard time forcing myself to eat. But when I think of myself back when I was severely anorexic, I'm like, yeah, I was this big. I was itty bitty, so small, so skinny. And I see videos of myself and I'm like, no, I looked the exact same as I do now. And that's what's wild to me, is I'm like, so I went through all of that just to look the exact same 2 years later. Where like I started, like I'm still not the healthiest person, and I probably never will be. But trying to make yourself better and then just not seeing any progress, I'm like, it really screws with your brain. And then also just genuinely not knowing what your body looks like, especially when you're a woman and our 28-day cycles, each day your body's going to look different. Because your body's getting prepared to have a baby. And that's another thing too. I got my IUD and I gained a bunch of weight. Because birth control, I learned this recently, the whole point of birth control is to trick your body into thinking you're already pregnant. I don't know if anyone's ever seen a pregnant woman. But, I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you. Pregnant women are not skinny, so.
No, it also messes with the hormones, right? And like estrogen produces, like there's estrogen produced in your fat cells, and then it also makes more fat, and then to store so that the body's cushioned for, again, the baby and everything, right? But
and also women's bodies, like we all have a little patch of fat at the very bottom of our stomach. Every woman has it, and that is to protect your vital organs, which is your uterus, the only organ that matters. But
who needs a heart when you have a uterus?
Amen. That's the title of this episode.
Yeah, who needs boobs and who needs a flat chest and a flat stomach when you have boobs to protect your heart, fat to protect your uterus? The only two things that count.
Birth control makes both of those bigger.
You're like, oh, you need to protect it. The baby that's not in there.
Toss in your pooch.
is. Like, again, as you said it though, like every female that I know,
or anyone who has just like a uterus in general,
has an issue with their lower belly.
Yeah, and
I can't speak on guys. I'm not a guy. I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of guys talk about that.
They don't have that.
The lower belly specific.
Muscles are different, so they can like have abs easier, basically.
Well, also it's because their center of gravity is different than ours. Like ours is in our hips, theirs is in their shoulders. So like the way that they are going to maneuver around the world and be able to work out and gain muscle is a lot different than for women. And in the working, like not so much now because of the self-confidence and body positivity movement.
Okay.
Women's nutrition and stuff like that has changed drastically than even what it was like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I noticed this when I used to do working out with my parents. But fitness is also very much catered to men's bodies, and women's bodies can't lose weight the same way.
Oh, no.
Like, nowhere near are we the same as men when it comes to losing weight. Because, again, like, the vital organs that we need to protect are in our stomach, and that's usually where women hate their body the most.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I want to do a whole episode on, like, working out around your period, because you have to, it's so, each week is something different. And so you kind of want to cater to that, but all of the workout and fitness world is catered to men, and they are on a 24-hour cycle versus a 28-day cycle. So, like...
You guys should look into comprehensive sex ed and why it's needed, because it is, like, that's something I'm very passionate about. And even when I was in middle school and we were going through sex ed, and they were like, this is a penis, this is a vagina. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Like, I was the one being like, well, actually, there's more.
Well, actually, if you examine.
Yeah. Like, I was sitting at the back of my social class and explained periods to my guy friends, and all the girls were like, she's such a pick-me, and I'm like, no, I'm trying to teach your boyfriend what a period is.
Yeah, literally.
Like, you should be thanking me. I'm not trying to steal him. I don't want someone who doesn't understand that this is not blood coming out of me, it's my uterine lining. Thank you.
Yeah. Understand the purpose.
Because of the lack of comprehensive sex ed, and the understanding of how the female anatomy, and even the male anatomy, people have so little understanding of how it all works.
Yeah.
And that also ties into the body dysmorphia, because if a woman doesn't understand how her body is functioning and doesn't understand why certain things need to look the way that they do, you're going to hate yourself because you don't have an appreciation for your body.
100%.
Well, it's even right down when you play into hormones and stuff growing up, right? A lot of people, I think, outside of weight and like weight management and appearance in that form, acne is a big one. And acne comes from hormones, right? So a lot of people that I know growing up would focus so intensely on their skin, and even now have acne scars, and we're focusing so hard on trying to heal those scars and then spiraling and still going through it. Like a lot of good friends of mine who are now 24 and still going through this. Did you ever have anything like that, like face appearance, or was it a lot of...
I never had bad acne. I had because I used to eat a lot of bread. I had a yeast buildup in my forehead, so that's when I get those tiny bumps that I couldn't get rid of for years until I, again, stopped eating. And then all of a sudden, you don't have yeast in your body. But don't take that as advice. That is not health advice on how to clear your skin. Please eat. Just cut out the bread. But the biggest thing, I hated how big my nose is. And again, that's something that came with my culture. Like, if you see my dad, and he hates his nose too, because it is giant. Love you, Dad, but you are a bald man with a big nose. The first thing you're gonna notice is your nose. And he knows it too, and he's gotten over it. He's pretty secure in who he is as a person, so I can make fun of him. But
your dad does look like the brown, like Shemar Moore, though.
Yeah,
like he looks 100%. Like the East Indian Shemar Moore.
Yeah.
He definitely looks like an actor.
Yeah, he actually looks like a Stampeders player, and especially when the guy played for the Stampeders, we'd go out and be like, oh my god, I can't remember his name. Like,
is it Jerome McGinley? Because that's
Jerome McGinley's not a Stamps player.
No, but
I'm thinking Flames.
But he also looks like Jerome. Like my dad, my dad looks like every culture and every guy, like any brown guy.
He looks like Jerome McGinley, The Rock, Shemar Moore.
Yeah. I was right. Just
wrong team. I love baseball. Oh my gosh.
Go sports.
Literally. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, but because and then my mom has like this teeny tiny little nose, and I swear it's just one straight bone and then just like the skin just like sticks to it. So really lucky that I kind of that's what it looks like. Like my mom's nose is very, very small. And so I was like, when I was younger, my nose looked a lot bigger because obviously I had a smaller face, but now it's like perfectly in the middle. So thankful. My dad did give me his broken nose, which I'm not so thankful about, but
Give someone a broken nose.
well, because he broke his nose when he was young.
Okay.
And so I've always had this bump on the one side of my nose. And my dad's always had it too, so I thought it was just how he was born. He was like, no, I didn't get that till I broke it. And I was like, oh great, you passed down your broken nose to me? I didn't know that was possible. And he's like, yeah, that's probably why you have such a hard time breathing out that nostril, because I broke it and now I can't breathe through it. And I'm like, free nose job?
You needed septum?
Yeah. Because that was my dream growing up, was being able to figure out a way to get a free nose job. And then all of a sudden, every celebrity had a deviated septum. And I was like, maybe I have that. I actually asked my doctor, not my daughter, I don't have any kids.
That's my firstborn child.
No, I asked my doctor, I was like, yeah, I have a hard time breathing through my nose. She's like, you might have a deviated septum. I'll send you for some x-rays. And I was like, finally.
It's my time. My manifestations.
Like, why would I finally like my nose? Are you telling me that I could get a free surgery?
Well, I mean, you could just actually get the septum deviated fixed. But
Yeah, but also, like, that sounds like a lot of work, and I don't think I can afford to take any more time off.
I mean, fair enough.
Jerry, do you have anything to
I feel like you've been pretty silent this entire podcast. It's been the Me and Michaela show.
I don't really feel like I need to add anything because no one wants to hear me talk about this.
Okay, go.
I'm a tall, skinny white girl. I have the body that everyone wants. So,
But how did that affect you?
Okay,
though?
but I'm a tall, skinny brown girl, and I have the body everyone wants, and I still hate how it looks. You could still have a valid opinion about this.
I'm a tall, curvy white girl, and only some people now want my body. But
yeah, I don't know. Now I feel like I'm finally growing into my body. And so I feel like I'm filled out and I don't look insanely skinny, which is how I was. But it's still like, I'm still insanely self-conscious of like my pooch. And even like last summer, I wouldn't go out in a bathing suit because I was still afraid that people were going to think that I was pregnant. Because I had someone ask my mom if I was pregnant in a photo.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so that was probably the worst it was. So now I'm just super self-conscious about that because of like a whole religion thing as well, where you don't have sex before marriage.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, well, I can't get pregnant before marriage. So then it's like, if people are thinking that about me, then how does that kind of affect it? And then, yeah, so my body image was fine until then. And then after that, it really took a beating. So I'm really trying to like get back at that. But I feel like in my eyes, I'm bigger than I am. If that makes sense.
Well, so there's body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
there's the dysmorphia.
And I don't know. I find that it's only really bad when I go to Plato's Closet because the way they size their clothes is absolutely insane.
That's actually, so this is a quick transition here. Have you guys ever heard of vanity sizing? Do you know what that is?
No, but it feels...
Okay, so my entire life, I've been a size medium. And like, if you go to like Aritzia and all these places, I'm a size small there.
Yeah.
If you ever saw my body when I'm not in a giant t-shirt, I am not a size small. Like,
yeah.
And it's because it's a psychology thing. If you are felt good in your body, and because everyone wants to be size 0 for the most part, if you pick up something and it says size small and you fit into it, you are more likely to buy it than if it said what the actual sizing was.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah. And so now, it's like, at certain stores, I am a size small. At other stores, I'm a size large. But that also is because I am a small-ish girl with big boobs. And so nothing fits me properly.
100%.
Yeah. And so with vanity sizing and having body dysmorphia and then having to go try on clothes in a mirror, and you finally find something where you feel good in, and then you see that it's either small or extra small. Some of these places I fit into an extra small, and I'm like, that's not... I know for a fact I'm not an extra small, so you're lying to me. But it's true, because if you look at what the universal sizing guide is, and you go and actually measure their clothes, it falls more into like a small would be either a medium or large, and extra small would be like a medium. Extra small is actually a small.
Right.
Which is crazy.
That is
because
weird.
you're lying to everybody just to get their money.
Literally. Well, even like this summer, I've really been trying because I hated all my summer clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And so this summer, I'm like, I don't care what size it is. If it fits me and I feel good, I'm going to buy it. I went from a size 4 to a size 8 in all of my pants. And if that was last summer, it would have wrecked me.
Mm-hmm.
You've also have built so much muscle.
Yeah, my whole body has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like my legs are bigger, my pants are bigger, but like, yeah, if that was even last summer, it would have like completely destroyed me. And even being tall, I need to buy larges because my legs are so long that I don't fit into regular pants.
Yeah.
And so like, I remember being a kid and like bathing suit shopping because I have just like a big chest, like I've got broad shoulders and just like a big rib cage and now boobs. And so I'd have to buy like a large, extra large bathing suit top, but a small bottom because my waist and my butt was so much smaller than the rest of my body.
I'm like the reverse. I need like a double X in my hips and medium or large in my top.
Yeah. And I forget what I was going to. Oh, I could fit into like a kid's size 12 until I was like 14 because I was just so little. But yeah.
I had the opposite issue where, because I hit puberty at the ripe age of however old you are in the 3rd grade.
Oh, shut up.
Are you serious?
9 years old?
I got my first period in 3rd grade.
Oh my condolences. That's terrible.
And so, obviously when you start getting your period, you start developing boobs, your body starts changing. And so I'm also the first out of every girl I know to be going through this. So that's, again, what made me start getting really involved in like, we need to learn stuff in sex ed. Because nobody told me anything. Nobody taught me anything, especially because, as Michaela mentioned earlier, about my kidneys failing all the time, I was constantly having bladder infections. So for the longest time, up until I think I was in the 5th grade, when my mom finally started noticing like my underwear was stained, I thought I was just getting bladder infections. Oh. I didn't even know it was on my period.
Shoot.
Yeah, so...
Well, because that's when they teach you what you do know about periods is that it's red.
Yeah, and so if I'm constantly seeing red when I'm peeing, I'm not going to think twice about it.
Yeah.
Because I was getting... even like when I was older, I was getting bladder infections more regularly than I was getting my periods. So like I was so used to it that I didn't think twice about it. And so my body started changing rapidly. All my friends were still like small. And here I am with boobs and I'm a 5th grader.
Yeah.
Because I think I was a C cup by the time I reached grade 6.
Okay.
And now I'm like...
I'm a B cup now.
Yeah. So you can imagine seeing a 6-year-old with boobs, or not a 6-year-old, sorry, a 6th grader with boobs.
Yeah.
It kind of throws you off.
Well, I remember being in like 4th grade and someone in grade 5 had gotten boobs, and that was all everyone talked about.
Yeah.
Well, and there goes the hypersexualization, right? And throws back to the whole like you look young and you have boobs, and therefore you are more sexually attractive in all things.
Like the first time I ever got catcalled was when I was in grade 6.
Shut up.
Yeah, I was walking home from school and I got this like muscle shirt from Forever 21 and these shorts. And so it's again, because I was so young and I didn't really have an understanding of my body yet, I wasn't wearing like a proper bra. So you could kind of see my boobs from the side of the shirt.
Yeah.
And this guy in a truck pulled up next to me as I was walking and was like, I can see your tits. I can see the side of your tits. Can I see the rest? And then drove off. I'm in the 6th grade.
That's terrible.
And you're in a small town.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I definitely saw that guy multiple more times, but he like I knew his truck. Like it was awful. And so again, when you're sexualized like that so young, you put a lot of your self-worth in being able to have sexual attraction, and that's something I still struggle with now. Like if a guy or a girl doesn't want to have sex with me, I have a really hard time understanding they're attracted to me.
Yeah.
And that they like love me and care for me. And that's why my last relationship was kind of taking a really rough turn. Because I'm like, we're not having sex, you hate me.
Yeah.
Because that's what all my self-worth was put into, especially with my parents being divorced and my mom having multiple partners all the time, it's a learned behavior. And it's very hard to unlearn when it starts at such a young age.
Yeah.
Because it's ingrained in you and it's a part of who you are. It's really fun.
And you think those experiences like contributed to dysmorphia?
Oh, 100%. Because because when you put all your self-worth in sexual attraction and all of a sudden your body isn't considered attractive, it throws you for a loop.
Yeah.
It ruins you. Like,
Yeah.
actually, when I moved here, because I'm the new girl, and because when I lived in my hometown, being, again, not white, I wasn't considered attractive because I wasn't blonde hair, blue eyes, white. I was this weird girl who was very outspoken and ethnic.
So weird ethnic girl down the street.
Yeah. But then when I moved here, because when you grow up in a small town, you know everyone since elementary school. So I was loud, I would talk a lot, I was really outgoing. I moved here, I don't know anybody, I stopped talking. And all of a sudden, I'm a mysterious cool girl who nobody knows anything about until they meet me and I spill all of my secrets to them. Takes you 20 minutes to get to know everything about my life.
That is a mood.
Yeah, like
our first shift together was just
our first shift together, and I'm like, oh man, I'm just trauma dumping on you. Sorry about that.
or vice versa.
Yeah.
like my thyroid failed.
Yeah.
Like
we've known each other for 6 months. Like, I don't know if you can tell that by the way that we're interacting, but 6 months is how long we've known each other.
Literally, there are no boundaries.
No, ever. Unless there's a customer there. And then there's some boundaries, but even then, like, some of the customers, I'm like talking to them, I'm like, I shouldn't be saying this to you.
Well, they'll go sit down and we'll continue our conversation.
So loudly.
Like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, customers can hear us. 100%.
Yeah,
well, I even know about the customers. Like the customers tell me about their medical issues and stuff.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like I get that all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Word vomiting is just like a personality trait, and that's why we have a podcast.
Okay, Alexa mentioned something about like learned traits. And so I just wanted to talk about how learned traits and body dysmorphia are very, very common, especially because I feel like a lot of our moms have such a negative self-image, especially, well, obviously they've given birth if they're a mother, more or less. I guess, yep.
Not always, but
not
yes.
always, but you know what I mean? Like,
typically.
And it's just so hard to like watch that and then like learn to love your body or even just be neutral with how you look. And even like for boys to grow up and watch how their mom like devalues their body and doesn't, so they can learn like, okay, I don't have to value my partner's body because it was always modeled to me that women don't value their body, so I don't need to either. So I can say these disgusting things and like pick at their insecurities because it doesn't matter. That's just how they think.
Yeah. If they're thinking it, then I can say it.
Yeah. And that was a lot of like when I was growing up, I was surrounded by all boy cousins. And again, I'm also super hairy, even though I'm as white as you can be, but I'm pale and I have dark hair. So it's a different kind of hairy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like once I like reached puberty and I started like growing leg hair and armpit hair and like facial hair, they would point it out, but they didn't realize that that was like embarrassing and an insecurity. So even now I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to be shaved so clean because what if someone sees that and that's just gross. And like we went swimming the other day and I was like, literally no one cares. Like I'd go out with hairy legs. Why am I obsessing over any other part of my body? No one's going to be looking at me.
My last boyfriend was Chinese. They have no hair on their bodies. None. And so when you are an extremely hairy girl and your boyfriend has no hair on your body, all of a sudden you're really self-conscious about it again. And I remember one time we were just hanging out and I was wearing a tank top and I reached my arm up to go and grab something.
Yeah.
And he turns to me and full seriousness goes, "Oh, you're growing out your armpit hair?" No, I just haven't shaved in 3 days.
That's terrible.
Our running joke is that it takes me, and I'm like, this is not even like a joke, it is a legitimate thing. The mustache he can grow in 3 months, I can grow in a week. So you can imagine what that did to my self-confidence.
Yeah.
But also, you can imagine what that did to his.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Because when you're and that's another thing, dating him, I learned a lot about men's mental health. because I've dated a lot of people with really bad addiction issues, and as he's someone who is recovering from it, and like just having like poor mental health, like trying to work through that, men do not talk about their mental health as much as they should. And like I know like it's becoming more of a conversation now, but it's still not talked about enough. And like the body dysmorphia that I watch guys, especially ones who work out, that they go through, and the disordered eating habits and the eating disorders that they developed, I'm like, you guys are ruining your bodies.
Yeah, I watched my brother. I was really worried for him because he was starting to go down that road because he was stripping. And so when you're stripping, your body has to be pristine. And so he was like working out and like worried about what he was eating, and then working a physically demanding job, but then not eating enough because he was like, oh, well, I can't eat because I'm going to put on weight. And it was so like weight conscious. And I'm like, dude, you're fine. People would kill to look like you.
Yeah.
Well, and some of the most insecure guys I know are the ones who are like bodybuilders.
Yeah.
The hottest guys I know are actually the ones who are the most insecure.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And they are that way because, I don't know, it like motivates them to work out in a sense.
Yeah.
Which sounds terrible because it is terrible, but like...
Well, that's exactly why I don't work out.
Yeah.
Is because I know that my brain can't handle doing things in like halves.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would like throw myself so far into it, but I'm still not recovered from, like, I still have severely disordered eating. I don't have an eating disorder anymore. But
well, I guess touch on that distinction.
Yeah. So when you have an eating disorder, you are actively participating in an eating disorder means that you are aware of what you're doing. You are doing it because you are restricting yourself, or you are purging, or you're binge eating to make yourself feel better about how you look, or to soothe your emotions. And disordered eating habits is something you're less aware of. So you're not doing it out of like self-hatred or self-loathing or just make yourself look a certain way. It's just because usually it stems from anxiety and depression. That's actually how my eating disorder started. So it's because, and then when you stop eating as much, it's hard to build your metabolism back up, and it's hard to make yourself hungry again. Like I don't get hungry very often, especially on my medication. I don't get hungry. And it's really, really bad. But at the same time, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, at least I'm not forcing myself this way.
Yeah.
Like if my body can handle it now, okay, like it sucks that it got to this point, but at the same time, I'm not forcing myself to do it, if that makes sense. Yeah. That's kind of the difference there. But because I have such disordered eating habits, I don't want to start working out, and I don't want my self-image to drop again. Yeah. Because if I'm not seeing the results I want, or if I'm not looking a certain way, or if I'm not building muscle the way I want to, or if I'm building too much muscle or not enough, like I don't want to develop another eating disorder.
Yeah. Totally fair.
And that's what a lot of guys who work out don't realize is that you are destroying your body. Please.
Well, especially when you get down to like the 3% body fat, 5% body fat, your body physically needs 5% body fat on it at all times to protect your organs.
Yeah.
Anything less than, you are risking your organ health at that point, right? And so that's why when you do all these fitness competitions, you drop weight like crazy. Or even I find with wrestlers too, the fact that they can go like fluctuate within 30 pounds like within a day is wild.
Well, it's like my stepmom, when she was doing her bikini competition, she was, I think she was like 140 pounds, and then within a week dropped to 120 for the competition, and then a week later went back up to 140.
Wow.
Yeah. And like but she was very careful with the way that she talked about her eating and the way that she talked about her self-image. Because now, like, when I hear her talk, like, sometimes I'll, like, be like, you're not fat. Don't say that. Don't start working out if you're going to have that mentality.
Yeah.
Because if you want to work out to make yourself feel better and to make yourself look the way that you want to, it's totally fine. But if you're going to do it at a place of self-hatred, that's when you're going to start walking some dangerous lines.
Yeah, that's when it gets very destructive.
And I think that's something that the body positivity movement has actually halted. Is that idea of losing weight to make yourself feel healthy. Because especially like fat girls in particular are supposed to be at the very top of the body positivity movement. Like, if you are a fat woman, you have to love yourself. You're not allowed to feel ugly anymore. Like, especially on social media. Like, in one-on-one conversations, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
But, like, on social media, if you are fat and calling yourself ugly, and people are going to be like, no, like, you're so beautiful, blah, 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 blah. You're allowed to feel like shit. Like, I miss that movement. You're allowed to feel like shit and talk about it. Because it's really hard to be anything that is remotely close to skinny and hate yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then everyone's like, well, no, you're so beautiful, like, all this. I'm like, hey, can you just let me hate myself for a second and be like, okay, that really sucks. I'm sorry you feel that way. I don't want to care about how you think I look. I hate it. Like,
Well, part of me wonders, like, if us three were in a lineup and there was a people cast, like, who do you think the most healthy is?
Yeah.
I wonder who they would choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I mean, I'm the most different out of between you two. But even between you two, you have some differences. Like, I wonder what would be determined as healthy, right? And what is health as a whole, right? But Journey and I are both also very pasty, so skin color wise, you look like you're glowing. You look healthier, right?
I look like I have a healthy tan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're skinny, is everyone going to be like, oh yeah, no, she has an eating disorder?
Yeah.
Because I'm large, it's like, oh yeah, no, she's obese. So I think would it be Journey who's deemed the most healthy, who's the middle median? But even then, like, what is health?
Not,
Right?
Out of the three of us, I think you would be the most healthy because of the way you eat.
And just the amount that you work out and take care of yourself. I'm at the bottom of this pole, by the way. Like,
I am in the middle.
Like, I have to explain to people, like, I need you to know how healthy Michaela is and how unhealthy I am, and I need you to drill that into your brain, okay? Doesn't matter how you look, your health does not dictate how your body looks, okay?
100%.
Because I, like, you should see the way that I am at work. I pull up and I'm like, yeah, I didn't sleep last night. Like, I'm kind of wired because of my ADHD meds. I'm not going to eat today. Like, I'll buy food for work. I won't eat it. And then Michaela's like, yeah, I'm gonna make like this really fancy and healthy meal. Like, I'm on a zucchini cleanse. And then Journey's like, yeah, and I'm right there with you, Michaela.
I think Journey's just like wheezing behind me, being like, can we stop now?
Are we there yet, Mom? Oh my god. I have to pee, please.
Oh, I'm just there with my breakfast bagel with the hot sauce on it, dipping it in more hot sauce.
No, but there is something, like, as you said, like, I'm glad you're able to recognize when it's good and when it's bad, because there are so many people within the health and fitness industry, too, that have these disorders as well. And they are seen as healthy and they're seen as inspirational, which they are, because physically, but there is a difference between, like, physically being strong and then actually physically being healthy. Are your organs functioning properly? How's your gut health? How's your mental health? How's your spiritual well-being even, right?
Yeah.
All of those come into a play in health. And so where I physically don't look the most ripped or the most fit, I can sled push 500 pounds and I do eat solid food in a day.
Yeah.
And while I look really skinny and like I'm in great shape, I can't even open a can of tuna. So,
that's not your fault. We have really bad can openers. That's not your fault.
I know it's not my fault, but it's a funny joke.
We had a half-assed good can opener. You'd be golden.
And now our manager thinks I don't have any finger dexterity. Meanwhile, I've played guitar for 15 or almost 16 years. So, again, what you see is not always true. But I think about, like, somebody, and she made a TikTok about this recently, is like Lizzo. Mm-hmm. She is a fat woman, and as everyone, like, she made a TikTok being like, no matter what my achievements are, like, I'm always just going to be seen as the fat girl in music.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
But she is healthy. Like, if you see the stuff that she posts, that she eats, the way that she, like, works out, like, she lives a very healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's just fat. Mm-hmm. And being fat doesn't always mean that you are taking crap care of yourself. Yeah. Just like being skinny doesn't always mean that you're taking good care of yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, because there's so many different things that contribute to weight and weight management and health. Again, we already talked about hormones being a big one in females, right?
Yeah.
And especially after you've already packed on the belly fat, it just keeps producing estrogen, which keeps packing on more belly fat. So once you have it, it's way more difficult to lose it.
Yeah.
But if you go down too much, then you stop having a period, and then your ovaries and everything, they're suffering.
Well, another thing too is that especially people who are recovering from eating disorders, the hard part is when your body has been trained that it is not going to get enough fuel and you're not going to feed it, any fuel you give it, it's going to cling to.
Mm-hmm.
And so as soon as you start trying to recover from eating disorder, you start gaining weight like crazy.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah. And that's what happened to me too, because I started deciding, okay, maybe I should start eating, and got an IUD all at once. So my hormones were just like shot up, and we're like, we're pregnant. And then my body was like, you're giving us food, oh my God.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this summer especially, or not this summer, sorry, last summer, I have never hated the way my body looked more than last summer. Like right after the summer ended, I went to Mexico and I spent a week in a bathing suit. And then I came back and I was miserable with myself. I did not want anybody to look at me, and then my eating disorder kicked up again.
Was it mostly about like weight and the way it packed on?
Yeah, and like obviously because when your body thinks it's pregnant, you're going to pack on weight in your stomach. So the rest of my body didn't really change. I wish it went to my ass, but here we are. And so like my boobs got a lot bigger, and I've never hated my boobs because when you're a woman, you have big boobs. Every guy loves you. But it got to a point where I felt like my body looked disproportionate because I had a really big chest and then like flat ass, which isn't true. I just wear really baggy jeans and then really teeny tiny little tight shirts. So that also threw my mind for a loop. And then when I started gaining a stomach even more, then I had even less of an ass and even bigger. It wasn't balanced.
Yeah.
And then once my hormones kind of got under control after the first couple months of having an IUD, my body went back to normal. And I have like, in my opinion, a more like proportionate looking body. But oh God, it was awful. Yeah. It ruined my self-image for a while. And that was probably the lowest my self-image has ever been, was those couple of months, which is weird because I was arguably eating a lot more than I used to. But that's when my eating disorder, the anorexia, flipped to binge eating. And now that's what I struggle with, is binge eating.
Right.
Yeah, because I don't purposely starve myself, but I will sit and eat 3 bags of chips and a whole thing of cheese sticks from Papa John's in one sitting. So
Yeah. I know, that's one thing that even just like moving out and having to like cook and go grocery shopping for yourself is so hard, because I've learned that I have a very, very bad relationship with food where I eat. It's not my feelings, but like if I don't feel like eating a specific thing, I'm just not going to eat. It doesn't matter if I get hungry.
Yeah.
I'll like snack on something else. But as soon as I feel like eating, that's all I can think about. And then I'll make that and then I'll eat it. Does that make sense? So then, yeah, I realized this morning when I was baking. I was like, if there's something in the house, and even if I like am cooking supper and I get like a weird smell, that meal is dead to me.
Yep.
I will eat a couple bites, but I will not eat until I'm full or until I'm nourished. It'll just be like whatever, and then I'll just go to bed.
Yep.
And I'm like, I need to work on that.
What do you think brought that on for you?
The way I grew up. That was how my mom, I feel like, ate.
Okay.
And she's doing a lot of work now. Let me just expose her secrets. She's doing a lot of work now, and I'm really proud of her of like not binge eating, like eating all those chips and trying to work on having healthy meals throughout the day. And so I'm also trying to work on that, of like having a good breakfast, having a good lunch, having a good supper, not just eating a bunch of like chips throughout the day. So I feel like that was kind of where that stemmed from. But even working out, a lot of my challenge was, okay, you're burning so many more calories than you are consuming. And so then I did a body scan, and Jody was like, okay, you're not where I'd like you to be. It's either, what did she say? You're not eating enough. What you're eating isn't nourishing. Or something else. And I was like, it's all 3. I'll tell you that right now. And so then even just focusing on like getting the healthy calories and like fueling my body so that I can work out, so that I'm not just putting on fat. I'm actually putting on muscle and using the energy in a more productive way.
I'm curious to see how your body reacts when we start this fitness challenge.
I know, I'm very nervous.
Journey and I are starting a fitness challenge with our gym. It's going to be an 8-week challenge starting on October 24th.
So we're about halfway through on this almost.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm very curious to see how you react, because if you do follow the meal plan,
yeah,
it is going to force you to eat more than you do currently, especially because your goal is going to be to build strength, correct?
Yeah.
So you are going to need a different type of...
Well, yeah, and that's what I came into this workout with, is like, I don't need to lose weight. I need to gain weight, and I want to be stronger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, carrying things down the stairs at work, couldn't do it. And I was like, that's ridiculous. I need to be able to do this.
I just get someone else to do it, but...
I know, that's why now you never asked me again. Strong woman, Michaela.
Strong girl. Our manager walks in, is like, where's the strong one?
Not here. But yeah, just doing that so I can like live, I guess. But then also grocery shopping, but coming from a student grocery shopping to grocery shopping for 2 grown men and myself.
That work in trades.
And need to eat so much, but still having that like I'm broke mindset, so I don't want to spend like a ton of money on groceries, and I don't know what to eat, and I don't know what I'm gonna feel like eating. So I don't want to buy a bunch of food that's then gonna go to waste and waste all my money. It's just a whole issue. But
I think that's another thing to talk about too when it comes to eating disorders and disordered eating habits is how you grew up financially. Really changes your opinion on food. Because I think of my stepmom, again, airing out our parents' secrets here, grew up in very dire financial situations throughout her life. Sometimes they'd have a lot of money, sometimes they'd have absolutely none. And now I see her relationship with food, and when it comes to like buying food, like we don't eat out. We don't eat out at all. And that's one thing, because it's in her eyes, you can't eat out and eat healthy. I had an OPA addiction, so I say otherwise, but...
I go to OPA when I'm looking for a healthy fast food.
Yeah, I was addicted to OPA for like 3 weeks, and I ate nothing but Caesar salad, so not the healthiest,
So
but
good.
here we are.
Yeah.
But when you feel like you don't have money, food and buying good and healthy food, especially with how bad and how expensive things are right now, is really hard. Like, it is a privilege to be able to eat healthy, because it is a lot cheaper to go and buy some microwave dinners for the week than it is to go and buy a bunch of ingredients for healthy meals.
Yeah.
Which makes it very hard for, like, with me, because I have, well, my ADHD makes me spend all my money, and so then I'm really poor all the time. And I'm also exhausted because we work a very physically demanding job, and I don't feel my body, so I'm too tired to cook. That's another reason why people eat like crap.
Well, that whole mindset is also why I've talked about it now in the past 2 episodes. Now it's my 3rd episode I brought this up. Seasonal eating habits. Like seasonal eating, the concept of seasonal eating, it is you're getting produce that is in your local area, and it is fresher and it is cheaper because it is from your local area. And so there are ways to go around that. Like you said, you buy microwave dinners. Even when you price those out now, going out to eat fast food, going out to buy microwave meals, they aren't much cheaper than buying ingredients to make a really like hearty stew or something, right? But you have to know what to buy because everything is so expensive, right?
Well, that's why I think like things like HelloFresh and stuff like that is great, because they give you the exact amount you need. And this is not not sponsored by no, but like
Not yet.
but like things like HelloFresh, Chef's Plate, like all those like those delivered groceries. I think they're great for people who
I think it's a really
struggle
good idea.
with, because I was telling my parents, I'm like, if I ever moved out, I can't grocery shop. I hate going to the grocery store, but I love cooking those meal kits because I have all the stuff I need. I didn't have to go anywhere.
Well, it makes it accessible and whatnot.
And it also, because a lot of people aren't taught how to cook. And that also makes things very difficult for people who have eating disorders to be able to try and recover from. You're not taught how to cook. And actually the therapist that I see, it's part of another program in Calgary, and one of their group therapies for people recovering from eating disorders is learning to cook. So you'd go in once a week, and you would go with a chef, and they would teach you how to make a meal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's so
so
smart.
smart.
Because then you're learning to love making food.
Mm-hmm.
You're learning how to make food, and you're learning to appreciate what that food can do for your body.
Yeah.
So while you're in there, because there's also a therapist in there who is the chef and the therapist. The therapist is doing CBT, which is the only way that you can treat body dysmorphia, by the way, is by doing, or not the only way, but the only way that they will treat you really in therapy is by doing CBT. Which
CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the cognitive part. And so she's doing cognitive behavioral therapy after we cook the meal, and we're all sitting around and talking, and that's just kind of trying to infiltrate your mind, being like, this is really good food, and then trying to be like, here's why it's good for your body.
Oh shoot, what did I say? Rewarding good behavior. I think I said that to someone yesterday. Well, and it is. It's kind of like when you train a dog and whatnot. It is the same kind of thing as you're rewarding positive behavior and positive actions for that change. And it's going to become a learned behavior, and it's going to become encoded because you're breaking down those negative thought patterns that you had prior around food.
I also want to say it is really hard to get over an eating disorder and body dysmorphia by yourself. So if you are struggling, please reach out to people. That is what's going to get you through it. It is not something you can go through alone or fix alone. Because even though it is a problem you have with yourself, you won't get out of your own head.
No.
You are in this thing 24/7. And so if it's telling you 24/7 to hate yourself, it's not going to switch. You can't, it's so hard to switch that or flip that switch on your own. Because I tried to do that for a very long time, because I do not like talking about my problems in a way that is serious. I don't think I've ever said something bad without laughing immediately.
That's our coping mechanism.
Yeah, I literally told them, I was like, oh, my uncle died, and then I was like, oh, well, that's new sense of humor.
Literally.
New trauma, but at least I'm funny. That was actually one of the first inside jokes I had with my middle school best friend was, I'm really funny today, huh? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, it's because I'm really sad. I'm like, So that's when we need to check up on each other, is if we were cracking just one too many jokes, like, are you okay? Do you need to talk?
I feel that.
Oh. Is there any other topics that we missed or anything you want to bring up about body dysmorphia?
I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot.
we did.
Yeah.
Okay, so to kind of lighten the mood, we have two possible segments that we could do. We have a word association game, which is where we go like 3, 2, 1, and then we say a word, and then we have to find the similar one. Or I found this article that is barista horror stories, and we could go through that one and kind of like compare and contrast.
I would love to do the second one.
Oh yeah, I will pull it up.
I have it right on my computer.
Oh, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Beauty.
Yes.
Boy, do we got some horror stories too, though.
Yeah. Well, so I'm sure we can add to it.
Yeah, that was kind of my plan, was like, share our horror stories. And yeah, 11 most annoying things customers can do.
What are we going to call this segment? Or do you want me to create a name on the spot again?
We're going to call this segment Compare and Contrasting Our Experiences.
Yes.
Sure. Sure. Call this one. Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, for our segment today, we are going to be reading through an article by Narcity that says the 11 most annoying things customers do at coffee shops. Because we all work at a coffee shop, this is very fitting.
I read through it and I was like,
And I'm like, basically my entire personality trait right now is being a barista and then having trauma, so this is perfect for me.
We're just covering it all in one episode.
We got the first half and now here we are.
All right, so the first one on this list is complaining about the price.
Oh my God. Especially lately.
Oh.
We just raised our prices. Oh.
It's so bad. It's like, I can't control that. I don't know what you want from me.
I don't know, talk to the manager. He won't do anything, but...
Yeah, our complaints is this email.
Well, when you're going out for specialty coffee, it's kind of expected. Either you pay $1,000 to have an espresso machine at home, because that is the price of
An espresso
a home
machine.
espresso machine, or you make your drip coffee and buy your Folgers.
Yeah.
And
Well, exactly.
Well,
Like,
I don't think people know how expensive espresso is and how expensive the amount of milk that we have in our basement is. So
100%. And we're a local small business.
yeah, we're not
So, like-
we're not having like a corporate head above us.
Yeah.
the second one is having the most complicated order.
Read the example for that one. Because I didn't find it complicated. I was like, okay, and?
Well, hers is like she's like, to be honest, I'm one of these annoying customers because my go-to order is a decaf iced oat milk latte with light ice. It doesn't seem complicated.
That doesn't seem complicated.
No. What's the most complicated drink you have to make? Do you know?
At home.
I don't consider really any of the drinks we make to be complicated. Like, I struggled with cappuccinos getting the foam right. And then one lady, I can never get the ice right for her. But that's her thing.
Yeah. I think working at, like, where we work now, and then when I worked at Second Cup, not really a big deal. The drinks were never too hard. Starbucks? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. I have never made... People, I understand why everyone hates their job at Starbucks, because I hated my job at Starbucks. But the drinks people ask you to make are insane.
Well, because there's a whole secret menu and the whole internet thing that people blow up, and you're like, what are you telling me right now?
Well, the worst is when they come in, they're like, yeah, I saw this drink on TikTok, can you make it? And we're like, do you have a recipe? And they're like, no, they said that you'd know how. And we're like... I barely know how to make the drinks that we have on the menu. You really think that I know how to make this drink you saw once on TikTok?
Yeah, the one on this example that you're talking about is the 1 double shot espresso latte with half whole milk, 1/4 1%, 1 shot of vanilla, and 2 shots of hazelnut.
Oh, yeah.
That's just annoying to write down.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Or like one lady, she like comes in, she's like, I want no foam, extra hot, try latte. She's like, sorry for this being so hard. I was like...
It's not. You
that's
just
literally the easiest.
You just steam it for long and then use a spoon. Like,
yeah. So the third one on this list is staying past closing time.
Mm-hmm.
That one customer. Actually, he stormed out the other day.
Yeah, Claire told me about that today.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, because we got a new employee, and she doesn't speak English all that great, and
neither does he.
No, it's
I know.
Yeah.
No, it's the guy you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But she didn't understand what he was saying when he was complaining about us using our spray.
Oh.
Yeah, and so she just kept spraying the tables, and he hates that. He hates when we wash the tables, and so he stormed out. He didn't stay past close.
That's what Claire said. Yeah, he like slammed his drink down and left. Yeah, and I was like, amazing. Mm-hmm. That's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. The fourth one is ordering a tall, grande, or venti.
Yep, because people will come into our coffee shop and they'll be like, can I get a tall whatever? And I'm like, is that a small, medium, or large for you? Because some people will mean tall as small. Some people will mean tall as in like a taller cup. Yeah. And one lady means medium. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, that is none of the options.
Mm-hmm. Here's where you kind of chimed in here. Fifth one is thinking that every menu is like Starbucks.
Yep.
Which is true because Starbucks has set this standard for coffee in North America.
Yeah.
Which then adds all the weird complications. And I witnessed the owner explain to a customer what a true macchiato is. And they did not, they did not care about two shits about what he was saying. He wanted their extra sweet, no foam macchiato.
Yeah.
And he's like, macchiato is actually supposed to be all foam because it's just supposed to be dirty espresso a bit, so it's not supposed to be as large and as da-da-da. And I'm like, my Italian friend has told me this. I know this. I'm not about to pick a fight with a customer over their drink order right now. I don't know why you feel the need to do this right now either.
Well, even yesterday someone came in and she's like, yeah, so I'm thinking of this drink from Starbucks. They make it like, it's like a frap, but it's less sugar, and it has something to do with like blonde. But like, their blonde roast coffee doesn't affect their sugar.
No, so...
Because it's a different roast of coffee, and I was like...
blonde roast just is caffeine. It's just a higher caffeine content.
And so I like almost said that to her, and I was like, she's not going to understand what I'm saying. She doesn't know what she's talking about, so I'm just going to be like, would you like this?
It makes me feel really, really smart, though, when customers say things that are fancy about coffee, and I know it, and they're like, oh, you understand? And I'm like, yes, I do.
I had one guy explain what breve meant to me today, because the person on till didn't know what it was. I'm like, I know what that is. Thank you. So much. I'm making your drink. They don't know what it is.
He doesn't know anything, so.
The sixth option is my biggest pet peeve is talking on the phone while ordering. Mm-hmm. I hate when customers do this. Or they're talking to each other. I just find it rude. I hate when anyone does that. Yeah. Like if you're going to order, pause your phone call.
Literally. Or don't order yet.
Or go to the back of the line. Like, try again.
Even worse, and you were complaining to me about this yesterday, is when they order in front of you, but they're not ordering to you.
Yes!
This happened with a group that came in yesterday, and me and Journey, by the time they got up there, I was already making the drinks, because they hadn't ordered, but they were ordering to each other, and then the one lady came up and was like, I have all these drinks. And I'm like, yeah, I'm making them already. Like,
why couldn't you just get the people who are telling you the orders to tell me the orders, and then this is done?
We have a group of teenagers that come in now almost every day, and they order amongst each other, and then they just like, they don't know how to, like, there's no social skills.
Yeah.
I'm like, why can't you just say it to me? I'm right here. I'm literally standing right in front of you, and why are you telling your friend your exact order, which is, again, is like a paragraph long.
Yeah.
But I'm picking up everything. I'm already writing it down as you're saying it. So
Literally.
just turn your head.
But then you feel really awkward when you're repeating it back to them, because you're like, no, I already got that. And they're like, oh, okay. Like,
I can hear you.
I'm not deaf.
I had a teenage boy freak out at me because he didn't know how to use a debit machine.
Oh, I remember that.
I was like, pardon?
I didn't hear about this.
Pardon? I had the debit machine. He's like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm like, you grew up with the debit machine era. How do you not know what to do with this?
You should have seen how excited he was when he got to work.
That's adorable.
I was like,
I don't know how to help you.
okay.
Another thing on that one is when people come in, especially when we were wearing masks, when they come with a ball cap, sunglasses, and a mask on, I'm like, I can't tell if you're talking to me, because they'd be like looking at the menu, just like talking, and I'm like, I can hear that you're saying something, but you're not addressing me. And then they'll be like, okay, how much is that? Didn't realize you were talking to me. Sorry, I have no idea. Can you repeat that? And then they get all snippy about it.
Oh. The next one here is oversharing, which I don't mind because I'm a nosy person and I love talking to people.
Well, no, because remember, there's one instance that comes to mind immediately where I was like, I could have lived without that information and my shift wouldn't have been ruined because of it. So
Yeah, there's a couple of times where it's like, thank you.
I don't care if you overshare about your life, because like I want to know about that. Please keep your political opinions to yourself. I do not feel like discussing that with you.
Yep, 100%.
I'm not trying to lose my job, and I'm also not trying to sit here and listen to somebody talk at me.
Yeah,
Not talk to me, talk at me about their political beliefs.
Especially in the divisive nature that we are in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Especially back when there was like the rallies every day or every Sunday, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
a fun little, like, roll the dice who are you going to get in your shop this time.
Because you'll get back our one coworker, when he still worked with us, his opinion would switch on a dime.
It was so good.
You would have one customer come in, be like, oh, I hate vaccines. I hate that we're being forced this. Everyone's a sheep. And he'd be like, yeah, I totally agree.
100%.
And then someone else would come in and be like, these people are so stupid, blocking the road, trying to protest vaccines as if they're not trying to save lives. And he's like, I know, they're so dumb. Like, how dare they?
It was amazing. Because customers would even be back to back, so the first customer could hear him change his opinion. And it's just amazing.
It's beautiful. This one doesn't bother me as much, but I can see why it's annoying. Cleaning a table all day and ordering one black coffee.
That bugs our boss so much. I could care less.
Mm-hmm. If anything, I enjoy it because it means that I know that you're just going to sit there and chill and you're not going to bother me. So.
Yep.
Specifying the temperature of what they want their drink to be. I don't mind this either because then I'd rather make it the way they want it and have them go on with their day rather than come back at me and be like, this is too hot.
The only thing that bothers me is if they're really specific about it. Mm-hmm. If they're like, I need it to be at exactly 165 degrees. Our thermometers suck. You're not getting that. I'm so sorry. Like,
you get between 160 and 180. Good luck.
Yeah. We have one lady who I have like worked with her through it to stop it at 110, and that's the temperature she likes.
Yeah.
And so she now explains to everyone 110.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, that's no issue.
No. The only part that bothers me about that is when whoever's on till doesn't write it down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what bothers me.
Yeah.
Well, and this is also another thing that Starbucks probably perpetrated because I don't know if you know this about Starbucks, but being a barista at Starbucks is it's not like being a barista literally anywhere else because we don't have thermometers because they're built into the steam wand. Mm-hmm. The steam wand, you press the temperature you want it to be at. There's like a couple of options and it'll stop it as soon as it reaches that point. So it's very easy to get your exact temperature that you want at Starbucks, not anywhere else. Because everywhere else we use these little thermometers that are very hard to calibrate and reset and have not suck.
Because you're supposed to calibrate them every day.
Yeah.
We do not do that.
No, I don't think anywhere does that.
No, I've never
That's what it said in the food safety.
No.
Yeah. I've never calibrated one in my life, and I've worked at 3.5 different coffee shops. Yeah, but Starbucks, like, because of how automated their entire espresso machine is, it's very easy to be very specific about what you want.
Yeah.
And they have very high standards for their coffee machine and how it's taken care of and how it's cleaned. Everywhere else, it is a lot harder to be as specific as you want.
Yeah.
Especially with Starbucks' new machines. Oh my gosh, they're so fancy.
Yeah.
That being the last coffee shop that I worked at, coming to where we are now, it was quite the turnaround.
Oh my goodness.
I know, I always try and like peep on them. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Can I help? Can I see?
So one of the second last one is critiquing latte art or lack thereof. Which, yeah, I get you want a nice pretty heart for your Instagram story. Sometimes it's not going to happen for me. Sometimes it will. I've been doing micro leafs recently where I can't get it to cover the whole cup.
I've never had it, like, I don't do latte art, but no one has ever been like, wow, this sucks. Like, why isn't this better? So I feel like I don't really...
I guess just the nature of our small town local shop.
Yeah.
And I think our customer base too.
Yeah.
Most of our customers are regulars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we do get complimented when we do fancy art, but it's not expected.
Yeah.
I think the worst for me, and I feel bad for this because I'm very, like, I always try and do latte art, but when one turns out and the other doesn't, I feel so bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then the last one is missing their drink being ready.
That drives me up the wall. I'll scream it at you, and I will look at you. I'll be like, iced chai latte. And they'll just be like, there. I'm like, iced chai latte! And then they're like, don't move. And I'm, here you go. Like, hello, please. Oh my God. And then when we have busy nights, this fires me right.
I can tell.
We have like, and so there's a lineup out the door, and you order a latte with an alternative milk. Please remember what you ordered so that you don't take someone else's, because then someone's standing there for 15 minutes waiting for their drink, and then it screws up baristas because then they have to go back and make that drink, so then everyone else has to wait. So it's like, just pay attention, please, and don't try and take someone else's. Like, if you just order and someone puts a drink down and it doesn't even sound even remotely close to yours, don't pick it up and take it. If you order a double Americano, don't take the medium turtle latte that I just put down on the counter.
Or even better, if you ordered a medium latte, maybe don't take the smoothie that's on the counter.
Literally. If you order a hot drink, don't take the cold one.
That happened to me the other day where this person came in and they're like, hi, can I get an extra hot latte with skim? And I'm like, yeah. And then what did they take when I put it on the counter? They took a large iced turtle latte. How do you go from that to that?
Literally.
Being like, oh yeah, that cup with ice in it, totally my extra hot drink. How do you forget what you ordered? It's not even like I'm very fast when I make drinks, so it's not even like it's like a 5-minute wait and maybe slips your mind. No, it's like 2 seconds after I took your order, like you're gonna be waiting like a minute and then your drink's gonna be out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So why
literally
how'd you mess that one up so badly?
Fires me up so much. I hate it.
That was a fun way to end.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen you so fired up on this podcast so far.
Oh, mad.
We're very passionate about our jobs.
I don't know. It's just people not paying attention that bothers me. Even when I give them the debit machine and they're like, does it tap? And I'm like,
read the screen.
Does it say tap now? No, it says tip.
That's why I've like whipped it into myself being like, there's a couple of options first.
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
They're just like,
or also just be sitting there like, yeah.
Tap?
Yeah, if you click past the first screen.
Can you read?
And on that note, that's my Dysmorphia with Alexa.
Thank you for watching.
I am Mak Joy.
I'm It's Jubes.
We are sometimes Shabata Slaps.
Alexa.
Alexa.
Me.
Do you want to plug your socials? Do you want people to follow you?
Alexa Garang on Instagram, TikTok is Heyo Adders. That's all I'm on.
Amazing.
We will have her tagged in the description below as well.
Yep.
But yes, thank you, Miss Queen of Chaos.
Thank you for having me. It was very nice.
It was
A
fun.
little chaotic, but that's okay.
What did you expect?
I know, literally.
Yeah. We expect nothing less. Awesome. Well, thank you for tuning into this week, and we will see you again next week.
Yeah, ta-ta for now.
TTFN.
Bye.
Bye.